And they all came out, and they were all distraught, and Peter was asked to come. And when he gets there, he sees all of this, and God looks down, and He smiles on the situation. And there's no doubt that he looked at it, and he just felt there was a little more room, little more space for some more mercy. She hadn't expressed enough. Mercy goes a whole lot farther, folks, than the opposite. I want our ministry to be a ministry that is known for mercy, known in the community. Those people really care. Something that was made very, very distinct by people at the funeral for Bruce. And when we had the meeting, the family meeting here, was this. Bruce, when he talked to somebody, really wanted to know what they said. Really was interested in knowing what that conversation was about. He let them talk about themselves, but rarely did he talk about him. The family, as they have gone through his stuff, and as people tell stories, and especially as they were talking, and when Shar went up to Costco, she told me after she visited there, she said he had no idea who he impacted in their life. None. Bruce knew some very, very famous people. Bruce he came across people all the time, and whether it was his disability or whatever, it was primarily his demeanor of who he was. His way of dealing with people was amazing. It was compassionate. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't interested about himself. He was interested in those who he was around and who he touched. Dorcas was such a lady. People loved her. These women loved her. And don't you think that this meant the world to them? That their friend, this woman who had impacted their community, and they thought in a very quick event passed away, don't you think that they were glad that God gave them a little more space for mercy? Verse 42 says, and it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon a tanner. I don't know why he tarried there, but perhaps he tarried there a little bit to just watch this lady, just to see a little bit about what she was about, and just to see this woman in action. You can never go wrong with expressing mercy. Nobody's ever going to say, stop, enough. I like that God is a merciful God such that it says that His mercies are everlasting. He just keeps giving, and keeps giving, and keeps giving mercy. And that's what we ought to be about as God's people. What an incredible thing. Peter being able to raise this lady from the dead. But you know, it wasn't about the pomp and circumstance of that. That's not what the community... yes, word traveled, and God glorified Himself in it all, and it was very well known what had happened. But that's not what it meant to those ladies. They got Dorcas back. Their Tabitha was back. And she could just quietly, behind the scenes, just keep doing those merciful things and just continue to express the love of Christ, the love of the Lord every day. There's always a little more space or a little more room for mercy. Father, thank you for this wonderful testimony of such a kind and merciful lady. We thank you that you showed the importance of her life, the importance of what she did by actually allowing Peter to raise her from the dead. She wasn't done. You weren't finished with her life. Two purposes were served in this story. You were glorified, and word spread throughout the Christian world of the amazing miracle that you allowed Peter to perform. And that's wonderful that you were glorified. But what's also special is your love and compassion for those ladies who loved her so dearly, and for that community that would continue day in and day out to enjoy the merciful life that she lived. May we be challenged tonight by her testimony, by her life. And may we think of the ways that we may not knit, we may not do all these kind of things, we may not be able to make blankets or make coats. We may not be able to do those things. But there are so many ways that if we just stopped to think, that we could express the mercy and kindness of the Lord. Can't read about Jesus in any story, anywhere in Scripture, that he was not touching and blessing and giving of himself, expressing kindness and compassion and mercy. And it's interesting that many of those that he healed would ask for one thing: Lord, be merciful. Have mercy upon us, O Lord. And when they asked him for that, he always would express mercy back. They'd be healed or they would be helped. He was about people. May we go through our daily life and look for ways to express mercy. Alms deeds are not visible. They're not things seen in the church. Not throwing money in the plate. But rather, they're acts of mercy and kindness that only you would notice yourself and the person that they're done to. So as we go through our daily life, maybe be known for mercy, like Jesus. Let's stand. And as we stand tonight,